Zeta Prime is conquered, but the device Megatron believed to be the Omega Key simply activated the key, Omega Supreme. Megatron quickly discovers he can use the device to track Omega Supreme and races above the skies of Iacon in pursuit of his quarry.
Maintain this heading. The device shows the Omega Key is directly ahead.
I thought Zeta said it was gonna come to us.
We are being intercepted.
It's coming right at us!
Stay your course!
We're gonna die!
Turn around and... Where did it go?
He's gone! What is this guy? You think he knows about the Omega Key?
No breakdown. He is the Omega Key.
Identity: Omega Supreme. Enemy status: terminated.
What are we gonna do now, Megatron?
Silence! This merely modifies my plan. If Omega Supreme is the key, then I shall force him to open the planet's core.
Oh, breakdown. I have to hold my laugh in there. He is a funny Decepticon in this campaign.
Enemy scanning for survivors.
Come in, Megatron! This is Starscream. Do you read me?
Starscream, I am 7 clicks north of your position.
Megatron! I watched you crash and burn!
Enough! Meet us at the bridge.
And if it wasn't for him, I think Megatron and whoever else was on that ship would be disintegrated right now.
Identification: Decepticons. Action: terminate.
Fall back! Fall back and take cover! He's coming! I can't Megatron! Help us! Megatron! We can't fight this thing! We've got to get out of here!
So, hello Autobots and Decepticons. My name is Somungry, and you guys knew that. In this episode, we are going to break down. So, go ahead and give it to me. There's a little Tom Petty reference. I don't think that applies to anything we're talking about right now, though. Breakdown. Let's get right into it. We are going to be talking about his G1 attributes, his storyline, and whatnot.
Mega Key!
We can salvage the wreckage for what we need.
Done. Acquired. Mission: destroy.
Fall back! Inside! Quickly!
Now, there's not a lot on him, so I will go into some of his fellow brothers, his Stunticons, and they form Menasor. And breakdown, he is one paranoid robot. And once again, we are talking about his Generation 1 attributes, what he thought, what he transformed into, which is the famous Lamborghini Countcha. I think that's how you say it. I don't know how to say it, but either way, it's a Lamborghini he turns into. So that makes for a fast, high-paced, and smooth ride.
Now what? How are we gonna beat this guy, Megatron?
Full-on approach to the sector. My scan
I see. We'll lure Omega Supreme up there and use the Autobot guns against him.
And breakdown, a very paranoid Decepticon.
I don't like it. It's too quiet. Why the ceasefire?
And if you are watching him, he would think you are anyways, because he thinks everything, both living and not living, are watching him. So he's always like, they're everywhere! And he doesn't like to stand out in a crowd, and he dreads being different and getting attention. So he is a very, I guess, bashful Decepticon. And at most times he wishes he were a human so that he could disappear and not get noticed. And I'm not sure I completely understand why they say this, but they say that he and Red Alert would be buddies and they would be sitting back, sipping on some Energon, if it wasn't for the fact that they would likely be convincing each other, or be convinced in their own head, I should say, that they were each trying to poison each other with the Energon drink.
Megatron, Decepticon transmission.
To all Decepticons who fight for the glory of Cybertron, Megatron has fallen. I, Starscream, have taken my rightful place as your leader!
Starscream, you half-wit! I still function! A fact you shall regret when I choke the life out of you! Now, I order you to deploy ships for immediate evacuation!
Starscream cannot hear you, Megatron. All communication to the surface has been jammed.
Let's head for that lift before that idiot Starscream causes irreparable harm.
And it is also said that in his vehicle mode, Breakdown's engine shakes so hard that it can actually cause mechanical failures to other vehicles that are near him.
Moving Decepticons. We need to reach that lift.
And he also has what is called a concussion cannon. And this will instantly cause mechanical failures in whatever it hits. Well, the vibrations from his engines have the same effect. He can pick off targets a lot easier with this gun, and it is more potent.
Why can't we get it to move?
A simple solution then. Break the locks.
So as you guys know, his paranoia is definitely his weakness.
Starscream, come in. This is
And
Megatron.
There's too much
And because his paranoia is his weakest, he is constantly stressed out, and this has a bad effect on him because that can also trigger mechanical problems for himself and his Lamborghini.
Not that he stood a chance against my intellect.
Megatron?
What? Target reacquired. Weapons engaging.
Wow, he looks really angry.
So there isn't too much on Breakdown. I will spend some time talking about his storyline in a little bit, but right now I would like to go over his fellow Decepticon brothers, the Stunticons.
Megatron, Decepticon leader. Recommendation: complete termination. You think you can destroy me, Omega Supreme? You think you can destroy Megatron? Do your worst.
We're still alive? We're still alive! What happened?
Open fire on the emergency locks! Destroy them!
And I'm not going to go over these guys too in depth. I'm just going to go over who they are, what they're known for, and just any other interesting attributes they may have. So first up, we have the psychotic Wild Rider.
Megatron, all due respect, but are you crazy? If we go out there, he'll melt us into scrap!
Would you rather face his wrath or mine? Now jump!
So Wild Rider is said to transform into a dark gray Ferrari 308 GTB sports car. So he is a pretty cool fast ride as well. And Wild Rider, like I said, the psychotic, he is legally insane. And a lot of people think that he's just doing this to trying to get his street credit up. But those that know him know better, and they stay away from this guy because he really is crazy and very, very dangerous. He will cause danger to anything on the road within his sight, and even his fellow Stunticons stay away from him when driving.
Megatron, you're still functional! Thank Christ!
Decepticons located.
He's trying to grab us!
Stop whining and start.
Omega Supreme's right on our tails! There's gotta be some way to shake him!
Move back inside. Perhaps we can avoid Omega's tracking systems.
Next up, we have, I guess you can maybe call him a realist of some sort, and you guys all know about him. We have Dead End, and he transforms into a Porsche 928.
Omega Supreme has lost the Decepticons! Where'd they go? Scan this entire sector!
find them! Coordinating with Omega Supreme, trying to locate us. Well, we'll give them what they want, along with a painful death.
And Dead End knows that it doesn't matter if people know about him. That will usually get destroyed, and any computer data about him will, go to waste somewhere, and species that are made will go extinct, and planets will become barren, and the sun will blow out, and the universe will explode into nothingness, and any other negative things that could happen to you. That is what Dead End believes. And despite his knowledge of the dark, inevitable, pointless of his existence, he spends a lot of time pampering himself, and he wants to make himself presumably good looking, since even though he knows that his destruction is inevitable, he wants to look good when he goes out. So he's got some style on him, which I kind of like. And he is a hard Decepticon to get motivated. All the Decepticons kind of make fun of him because he believes in the end is near type thing. But when they do motivate him, he becomes a very good warrior and is quite fearless. But getting him motivated because he believes we are all doomed is very, very difficult. The next Stunticon is obsessed with winning, and he transforms into a Tyrell P-36 six-wheeler race car, and he goes by the name of Dragstrip. And he doesn't just want to win, he needs to win, and he loves to win, and he has never been graceful in victory either. He would rather die than lose a race because he thrives on bragging at his opponents after he comes in first. And Megatron and the other Decepticons absolutely hate Dragstrip. They hate that he is obsessed with his ego, and he would be destroyed if it wasn't for him being such a good warrior against the Autobots, with always wanting to come in first. But Megatron definitely hates this guy, and so do the other Decepticons. The next of the Stunticons, their leader, coming in the form of a black Kenworth K100 Aerodyne sleeper truck, Motor Master. And when this guy gives orders, his Stunticons definitely do listen. He is a take no prisoners, cold and brutal leader. And much like Megatron, he has no mercy for a lesser being.
Did you see me back there? Omega couldn't touch me!
Megatron, scanners indicate a bridge nearby. Crossing there will give us access to a second elevator.
Another elevator? I don't know. The last one didn't work out so well. We're pinned down!
Starscream, do you read me?
Megatron, you're alive?
Spare me your theatrics. I need immediate air support. Attack Omega Supreme!
New targets acquired. Initiating pursuit.
There! Omega Supreme is distracted!
Oh, Breakdown, I share your fear of elevators, especially with no elevator music. I mean, come on! But anyways, back to Motor Master. He considers himself the true king of the road. And one day, he plans to prove his claim as the king of the road by destroying Optimus Prime. Even though he does realize and think that Megatron may kill him first, but his fellow Stunticons are too terrified to disobey any orders that he gives, and the Stunticons will instantly combine with him when he orders them to form into Menasor. So now that you guys learned about Breakdown's fellow Stunticons, we are going to switch gears, since these guys are not who I am playing as right now, and we are going to break down Breakdown's history along the G1 storyline. And I think because I do have a couple more episodes left after this, and Breakdown, Megatron, and Soundwave are the last ones to be used throughout this Decepticon campaign, we will talk a little bit about Omega Supreme coming up, since that is the Autobot that is hunting us down. And thank goodness for Breakdown, because he saved us all. So let's get to it. G1 Breakdown. So in an episode of the Transformers, one time Megatron wanted to steal this experimental rocket fuel from the United States military, but Megatron realized that they had control of the skies and the Autobots definitely had control of the ground, and he needed new ground-based warriors that could outdrive and outfight the Autobots. So he sent in Rumble to steal all these different vehicles from the humans, and then they were rebuilt to become the new Decepticon ground forces, also known as the Stunticons. And Breakdown was given life by Vector Sigma. Now you may ask, what is this Vector Sigma? He is an ancient and incredibly powerful multiverse supercomputer which exists across the universes. And in most cases, Vector is generally shaped and looked like an orb. And one of this orb's abilities is to give Transformers' bodies new life. So that is how Mr. Breakdown was created, along with his other fellow Stunticons. And he agreed to serve the mighty Lord Megatron, but we all heard and learned about Breakdown, so he was probably thinking that Megatron was out to get him. And in the previous episodes, we've heard about how the Autobots were forced to flee Earth for a certain amount of time. And during this time when they were not there, the Stunticons were wreaking havoc on the Earth and damaging the Autobots' good names because they had the ground appearance that the Autobots had and the Decepticons did not. But when the Autobots did return to Earth with the newly built aerial bots, they were able to defeat the Stunticons. So a little bit down the road, Megatron was infected with cosmic rust after a trip to the lost Autobot colony of Antilla. And the Stunticons were then assigned to capture the Autobot scientist, Perceptor. And a little side note here, I'm not going to show anything on Perceptor because I heard he is in the Fall Cybertron campaign, and I cannot wait because Perceptor, he's a cool dude. But anyways, Perceptor had developed this powerful anti-corrosion device called Coral Stop. So Breakdown boarded this ship, I guess where this cosmic rust here, or the Coral Stop, was being stored, and Breakdown convinced these humans that they were taking it over, and then he locked the humans away, and Megatron was able to cure himself and then infect the Autobots with this cosmic rust. So I don't know if Megatron like ran over to him and like kissed him like he had herpes or something, or I don't know. But that's besides the point. I'm sure Megatron has some pretty bad herpes. So Menser then attacked the Statue of Liberty with this ancient heat ray that he had in the intent of stopping the Autobots from matter duplicating more Coral Stop from the layer they had sprayed on the statue. So this statue must have been infected as well. But the aerial bots came down and formed into Superion, which is their combination. And the aerial bots, if you don't know who they are, it is Silverbolt, Air Raid, Fireflight, Skydive, and Slingshot, also known as Aerazar in other versions. So these guys came down and stopped Menser.
This thing on 4 wheels.
Any contact will cause severe systems damage.
You want us to go through that power conduit? No way.
Get moving, Breakdown.
The energy beams will cause severe systems damage.
You want us to go through that power conduit? No way. The energon flow is off the charts. We'll be fried.
Get moving, Breakdown.
So moving on, I talked about this a little bit in Starscream's episode. Starscream came down to Earth with the Combaticons to try and take over and withthrow Megatron And during this battle, when Starscream was attempting to overthrow Megatron, the cars, also the Stunticons, they were having a demolition derby, so they were like, no, we're not going to help you out, we're having too much fun. But they realized that Starscream wasn't going to stop, and he was going to possibly destroy Megatron. They then came to his aid and merged into Menasor and disabled Bruticus in one punch. So he's got a pretty sick right hook, if you ask me. So a little bit farther down, Megatron, of course, always sending his Decepticons out to go do stuff for him. He sent out Breakdown and Wild Rider to assault this optics laboratory to gather some lenses for this cannon beam that he was creating. And on their way back, they were intercepted by a bunch of Autobots, and Grapple brought down Breakdown with a fire-wielding rifle that he has. And so then the Stunticons were dragged back to Autobots' headquarters, where they were held hostage. They were then stripped of their radios and disabled so that they could not transform out of their vehicle mode, and then put behind Energon bars. And so then the Autobots used some camouflage paint and altered their appearance to look like the Stunticons so that they would hope to get close enough to Megatron to catch him unaware. So Sideswipe took the form of Breakdown for this mission. And after the Autobots left to implement their plan, Breakdown, he tried using his big pulse to disable these bars and break free, and it worked. So he caught the Autobots by surprise and freed his fellow Stunticons, and they were able to form up and get out of there as quick as possible, and they escaped this area and returned to Megatron, but they were a little too late because the Autobots had already ruined Megatron's cannon and Megatron's plan had failed. And so comes our last little bit of history on Breakdown and his fellow Stunticons, and this is kind of into the future, more when Unicron was there, and the Decepticons were in exile, and the Stunticons were reduced to being scavengers, and they were all fighting for scraps of Energon as much as they can, and Motormaster, their leader, knew that they needed leadership to survive, and hope came when Cyclonus brought news of Galvatron's survival, or Megatron's survival, and he asked the Decepticons to donate their remaining energy to revive their leader. And of course, while Dead End was pessimistic about their survival, Breakdown thought they were doomed anyway without the leader and focus, and so while Cyclonus and the rest of his sweeps were trying to resurrect Galvatron, the Stunticons convinced other Decepticons to ally themselves with the Quintessons, which we learned a few episodes ago about. So nothing really came of this, and Galvatron returned to seize control of his Decepticons, and the Stunticons were again with the Decepticon leader, and they focused on attacking the Autobots like usual. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Breakdown. Not as much history as some of the other Decepticons, but kind of a cool history nonetheless, especially learning about the Stunticons as well.
Finally, Decepticons, move quickly. We must reach those guns.
So in the next episode, we will talk about Omega Supreme. Have a good day, guys.